What's going on, guys? So yeah, today's video is going to be a little bit different to the last couple. If you've just clicked on this video, I take it that you're not exactly happy with where your life is at maybe right now. And I can tell you firsthand that honestly, the upside to that is having that awareness is sort of the first step to actually, changing that. Probably about 18 months ago, that was this guy here. Yeah, clearly looking a little bit musty, unhealthy, living for the weekend, drinking and partying too much, and yeah, just sort of floating through life unhappy and, surrounded by a circle of people that sort of drain my energy. And then yeah, you fast forward that 18 months and a huge turnaround from that guy. This is me 18 months later. I've traveled over 13 countries this year, living my dreams, training Muay Thai in Thailand, all while working a couple hours a day online. Most importantly, I am by far the happiest I have ever been. So how did I get here, you might ask? These are the 4 things that unfucked my life. So the first one, radical accountability and environment. So I had to look in the mirror and admit that, yeah, my life, unfortunately, is completely my responsibility. Basically, the bad news is if your life sucks, it is your fault. However, the even better good news is that if your life sucks, it is your responsibility to fix it. And I think that, when you accept this, everything sort of changes because you stop waiting for a lucky break or for someone to save you or, for you to get lucky, and you realize that it's completely on you. So a huge part of this, I have to say, is your environment. So yeah, the people you spend your time with, they shape you more than you might realize at the moment. So, and that was definitely the case for me. I wasn't really aware how much influence they had until I kind of removed myself from it. The people you spend your time with shape you more than you realize. I'm sure you've heard it before. You spend time with a circle of 5 losers. Don't get surprised if you end up being the 6th loser. I'm using loser for lack of a better word, but you get what I'm saying. But the flip side to that is just as real. Like if you hang around with 5 ambitious, happy, driven people who are also trying to build lives that they're super proud of and happy with, you're not going to stay down too long. And, if you don't have these people, which I get it, I haven't always had these people around me, it's better to go alone than to not go at all. And yeah, for me, I had to cut out people who I thought I'd always be friends with. And yeah, not because I hate them or because anything happened, but because they represent a version of me that, yeah, I was done with. And yeah, sure, it was lonely, especially at first, but the reality is loneliness is better than being surrounded by the wrong people. And when you do start to actually level up and make change, you're going to find a new circle that will support you becoming your best self, basically. The second big shift was rebuilding my self-respect. And this is done through only hard work. It is the only way to do this, I believe. For a long time, I was the kind of guy who did avoid doing hard work, and, I would self-soothe with rubbish, with, doom scrolling or gaming or going out all the time, or, just hanging out with low energy people who make you feel, they make you content with that being your situation or your life. And, when you do that, you start to lose trust in yourself. You start thinking that you're not capable, you're just lazy, or it's just who you are. But truthfully, you can rebuild self-respect at any time. And the only way to do that is, through action. So it doesn't matter if you don't know what you're doing, you just have to start. It doesn't have to be radical, it could start by just reading books or, going for runs or forcing yourself into workouts or trying new things, basically. And little by little, every time that you do push yourself to do something uncomfortable and make that conscious decision, you stack that belief with yourself that you are capable. And over time, those small wins compound. You start to see yourself differently, and you can become the kind of guy who creates and takes action. And yeah, I can tell you firsthand that you can let go of the guy who just consumes and complains all the time. Yeah, I believe that fulfillment comes from doing the hard work that you've been avoiding. That is where the real growth is. Turn into a lifelong learner, continuously be evolving yourself, and be the guy who, goes out and takes what you want from your life instead of accepting what you are given. Now, the next key step that I want to add is figuring out a pathway for yourself. So I believe that, if you can figure out what intersects between what you're good at and something that, you're passionate about and are naturally drawn towards, finding that thing that intersects between that and something that, you can turn into a moneymaker or even just a productive outlet. So for me, as a really social person, energized by communicating and connecting with people, sales has been perfect for me. So obviously I get to talk to people every day, and, I get to help others while making good money. And it just comes easy to me as just being a social person. So, but that's just me. Maybe you're a natural leader, and a leadership role could be more your path. Maybe you're a creative, and, a role in content creation or graphic design or copywriting or script writing might be you. Or maybe you're, more technical and maybe a problem solver and suited to things like in AI solutions or, any number of things really. I guess the key here is really taking time to figure out, what you're naturally inclined towards, and then work backwards to figure out what fits your personality, and then translating that into a skill or career that you can pursue. If you are sort of unsure about this, talk to AI about it. Ask some questions about your strengths, what, is probably at the core of your character, or talk to someone, you trust, like a parent or your best friend, to get a good, clear perspective on, what you're good at and how that could potentially be monetized. And for me, this was a game changer, because once you find that intersection and you can really channel your energy, focus, and consistency, and it all just is going to skyrocket, basically, when you can find a way to make your work feel like play, because that's just how you're naturally wired. Now, my 4th step, and this is something that I'm still getting more and more invested in my day-to-day life, basically document the journey. So for me, it started with journaling every day and really being intentional with it. I would write about the kind of person that I want to become, and I'd really, picture that version of me who was living my dream life. What did he look like? What did his day look like? Who was around him? And yeah, most importantly, how did he feel? How did he feel about himself? And I really think that once you do map that out, it makes it easy to look at your current habits and ask yourself honestly, do these move me, towards that version of me or further away from that guy? And yeah, I think that's the key. The awareness is the first step, and then off the back of that is where you build belief, which is step two. You really have to believe that you can, make that jump, that you're capable of being that person. And I think that comes through these exercises. Once you do believe that it's possible, action becomes natural because you start showing up like that version of you before it even happens. And when you do that over a long enough period of time, the gap between the person you are and the person you want to be is going to just slowly disappear. And the fifth and final step is take action. So yeah, I think whoever you are or wherever you come from, you can do whatever you want, really. If I can, what is there stopping you? 18 months ago, I was a guy sleeping in his car, completely flat broke, stealing steaks and meat from the shops every day, just to feed myself. And yeah, just zero direction and really lacking in self-respect and confidence. And, I can confidently say that today, 18 months later, I'm completely free and couldn't be further away from that guy. I travel the world, I train the Muay Thai. Yeah, I built a life that I used to think wasn't even possible for me. So, but it starts with those steps. You got radical accountability, rebuilding self-respect through hard work, figuring out your personal pathway, and yeah, documenting your journey while you visualize your dream self or future self. If you're unhappy with your life right now, let this video be the turning point. Like, it can all end here if you decide to take action today, one day or day one. Yeah, thanks for watching. And yeah, my socials are linked below. If you do want to connect, more than happy to talk further with anyone wanting to unfuck their life as well. Cheers, guys. See ya.